11 different seasons, 1 year playing Pokemon Pocket. What is the best and what is the worst season that we've ever had? Yo, what is going on today, guys? We're back here. So yeah, I already did one of these during Eevee's Grove, but now that we have a full year of experience and we have a couple of new seasons slash metas, I definitely want to redo this because I definitely have some new thoughts and opinions. I definitely have some changes in my mind of how good previous seasons were, especially after witnessing what has happened the last 2 months. So anyways, let's go straight into it. So I'm just gonna go in order, man. So we have Genetic Apex. I think there's no better place to put this than you just got to put this in B. This season, although I did not play competitively because I mainly focused just on, YouTube content and casual stuff, it was fun. There's such a variety of decks because everybody was just playing the game, man. People were just playing whatever they wanted, trying out new cards. It was fun. Yeah, in tournaments it was dominated by like Pikachu and Mewtwo and like a couple of Charizards and stuff here and there. I personally didn't play that, so I don't know if that was actually bad. I know people actually have like fond memories of Genetic Apex Pikachu and playing it because it was actually a fun deck to play. But I've already talked about this a lot in the old one, bro. If you do want to see actually the old one to compare them, I will have it linked in the comments. If you guys, yeah, like I said, bro, want to compare them and want to hear some more detailed thoughts on stuff like Eevee's Grove and before, you can definitely do that. And yeah, it's just fun, man. It was just a variety of decks. You were trying about new cards, you were just trying to unlock everything. The game just came out, so it was just fun, bro. That's just simply how it is. Next up we have Mythical Island. So Mythical Island for me, I think was actually really peak. I think this is like low-key the best mini set we've ever had in Pocket, because it basically just took everything that Genetic Apex had, added actual cards into the meta, and like it didn't warp meta, bro. It just added decks into it. For example, Pikachu, Mewtwo, and Zard, whether that just was like a pure Zard or like an Arcazard version, of Arcanine, those decks were still meta relevant. It added Gyarados, added Celebi. It made stuff like Venusaur viable at the beginning when everybody was playing Gyarados. It was just a lot of variety, bro, and it just, like I said, bro, just added stuff. We had a couple like Pidgeotto, I think top cuts or something for the competitive side. This is when I first got into competitive Pocket and competing in tournaments. I thought the meta was fine, but like, yeah, at the end when everyone went back to Mewtwo, as someone who didn't really like playing Mewtwo, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't the most fun because, obviously the best deck in the game, I don't like playing it. However, I had a lot of fun playing Pichu, man. Or not Pichu, but Pikachu. I thought this was fine, bro. I thought there's a lot of decks. There's a lot of like anti-meta decks that you could play. Like for example, like Scolipede could destroy Mewtwo if you draw correctly, like using Scolipede. Obviously, that's like a very low tier slash mid tier deck if you want to consider it, back in that format. But there's actually like 5 good viable competitive decks at the top tier slash high tier level. I think it's good. I'm gonna actually put it in A. I think this season was extremely fun. It's one of the ones I have the most fond memories of. Maybe that's just because I'm very biased towards my Venusaur runs, but I really do think it was a huge step up, and I really like how I said, bro, it was a mini set unlike all these other ones that we will get into that just added to the pack rather than actually destroy the whole meta. So that's why I think very fondly of Mythical Island. So next up we have Spacetime Smackdown, and I know a lot of people don't like Spacetime Smackdown, but this meta is actually way more diverse than people remember. I think people are really zoomed in on the fact that we had, Dark Red Magnezone kind of for the first week, and obviously the whole meta, it was definitely one of the most played decks, but every season is going to have that. And the last week, I will admit, the meta was kind of lame when everybody was just playing Executor Celebi. 100%, I will admit that. But if we're not talking about just the last week, the meta was actually very diverse. You had a bunch of different Magnezone decks where obviously, yeah, you had like the Skarmory Magnezone, you had obviously Dark Red Magnezone, you even had Dark Red Greninja, you had like the Fighting Magnezone decks, if I do recall correctly. I'm pretty sure there's like the Fighting Box decks. Oh, which is actually something I forgot to mention, bro. Mythical Island also had that Primeape slash Farfetch like Aerodactyl deck that definitely saw play, and even like stuff like Golem. But for me, Spacetime Smackdown was actually a lot of diversity, and I really appreciated that. For me, I felt like it was very fun because we had stuff like Mega Dialga, we had Dark Ride Revile. There was just a lot of decks that are being able to play. I feel like we had a variety of stuff winning. Obviously, yeah, some of the most dominant decks were definitely Dark Red Magnezone and Egg Celebi. But if you actually played in the season, it wasn't only those 2 decks, even though those 2 were the most represented. So in my opinion, bro, I think it was one of the best Pocket seasons we've ever had. And I'm gonna stand by that fact. I really enjoyed playing a Spacetime just as long as Mythical Island. I thought these were two banger back-to-back meta sets, and I really missed them, bro. So next up we have Triumphant Light. So Triumphant Light was the introduction of Arceus, which basically took Spacetime Smackdown into a tier 0 almost format with the introduction of, you know, obviously the Dialga Arceus pair. The only other playable deck really was Rampardos. That was like a hard counter to that deck, you know, if you drew Rampardos and, you know, didn't kind of break on the fighting cards. You had the Articuno 18 trainers, like the Palkia 18 trainers. You also had like Leafeon Celebi. You had a variety, bro. Like there actually was a couple of decks that were playable. Obviously it was 100% dominated by Darkrai Arceus, or not Darkrai Arceus, bro, but Dialga Arceus. That was 100% the most represented deck, and it had an insane meta share, bro, in almost every single tournament and even on Limitless. Looking back, I don't think it was that bad. Because on mode 1, bro, I said it was just kind of bad, and I think I put it in either C. I think I did put it in C. Honestly, I'd rather go back in Triumphant Light, bro, than have to deal with Secluded Springs. Obviously, we'll get into the Secluded Springs in the future because I'm going in order. I'm actually going to put this at like the top. I'm still going to put it in C, bro, just because like it kind of did force you to play like a couple specific decks. Like I played Leafeon Celebi for the most part, and that deck definitely did struggle. You had to get really lucky with Celebi to just nuke an Arceus with like 4 or 3 coin flips, depending on how much HP. This sounds like Giant Cape. But I will say, I don't think it's as bad. Obviously, it is still in C, but I don't think C is super bad. I think that's fine. I can even like zoom in a little bit, bro. I probably should have done that, bro, at the beginning. I don't know, man. Looking back, like I don't think, at least the Dialga Arceus was, you know what it was doing, bro. It was ramping up an Arceus and it was coming into an attack. It wasn't doing Greninja pings. It wasn't drawing 20 cards a turn. I cannot say that the season was that bad just after what we've experienced in the power creep of the game. Still gonna put it in C though, bro, because I could almost see you being at the bottom of B. We could move it up, but if you play during that time, bro, you know how it went, bro. So I'm just gonna move on. But we have Shining Reverie, which was the first introduction of ranked. It gave us Giratina, gave us Darkrai Giratina, which was the most dominant deck. We had stuff like Gyarados, which was inconsistent at times because, you know, you had to ramp up 4 energy to get that good lead. Had to actually open like Manaphy plus the Magikarp. And then like Zard came back at some point. Gallade was extremely fun early on in the season, so everybody kind of realized how to play against Gallade, mainly the Darkrai Giratinas. And we had the like scam like Masquerade and Magnezone deck that was extremely bricky and high rolly. I don't know, man, because I'm not gonna lie, Darkrai Giratina mirrors were fun. I actually had fun playing in them. They were skilled. Obviously, sometimes, you know, one player does brick and that's GG's. But for the most part, when people both open the pair, it was fun. However, I will say though that the fact that you were kind of forced to play almost that deck the whole season. Obviously, you could play like a Gyarados or these other type of decks. There's also like Rampardos and Lucario still around. I don't know. In my personal opinion, man, I'm gonna put it C. In this might be a hot take. I'm gonna put a C, man, because I think these were close to being good. I think these would have been B tier decks if the power level was kind of a little bit more equal in both of these seasons, because, you know, they both had almost tier 0 formats, dude. Where like definitely Darkrai Giratina and then Darkrai, or not Darkrai Arceus, but I keep saying Darkrai Arceus, but the Dialga Arceus were so powerful. It was clearly the best deck in the game in the meta share, bro, especially in tournaments. It just got dominated. So I think if these seasons had a little bit more of a diversity, bro, or like equal power level during the time, I think these things were fine, because I don't even mind Darkrai Giratina now. It's still one of the best decks, but I don't mind it. It's just there was really no competition that was consistent. So I'm gonna just put them in C, and I think we're gonna move on to what is going to be Celestial Guardians, which I'm just gonna move it up here. I am a fan of Celestial Guardians. We got the introduction of the rare candy. I know a lot of people for that is a hot take. I know a lot of people call this the rare candy format. However, the reasoning for this is because, one, it shook up the meta a lot, 100% compared to Shining Reverie. We had an introduction of a bunch of new decks, whether that be Solgaleo, Skarmory, Masquerade, Decidueye, all like the Tapu Lele, Greninja, Giratina decks. I thought the season was extremely fun. Gave us Oricorio to balance out some cards, even though Oricorio is an annoying piece of shit. I fucking hate that bird. But I will say, for me, this is hard carried by the fact that I really love Masquerade Decidueye. It was one of my favorite decks. It is still one of my favorite decks of all time. And I think just that deck existing, bro, I literally didn't even play ranked that much because I had like finals for college when I was still in college before dropping out, dude, because I realized the money. But I barely played ranked. Like I played ranked, dude, but I didn't like try hard. Obviously it was before a win streak, so I think I got like top, I think it was like top 5k, maybe I got like top 10k, maybe like 6,000 plays. But just entering tournaments, playing ranked, dude, even though I wasn't like doing super good because I wasn't putting too much time in, so I wasn't in like top 1,000. Just playing Master out of Sigewire, bro, like 24/7 was so much fun for me that I don't care what anybody says. I like this season. I think it's like the second best season in the pocket in my personal opinion. If not, like honestly, I don't know if these are really ordered. Like Spacetime and Mythical is probably overall better than Celestial Guardians, just because I don't know, but I really like Master out of Sigewire, bro. That's basically my whole point. I like this season. That is just how I'm going to put it, because I think I put it at the best set in the last video, I'm pretty sure. And I do agree. I really like the season, man. I do not care what anybody says. People might disagree because, you know, Rare Candy, obviously it was a lot of RNG based back then when we had a lot of inconsistency of decks, but I like it, bro. And at the end of the day, this is my opinion. If you guys have different opinions, let me know in the comments. Let's move on to the next deck. I said next deck, bro. I meant next pack, obviously. Next up, Eevee Crisis. Dude, I did a total 360 on this, bro, or 180. I think I put it like the second worst season for me last time. Now that we've had other metas, bro, and looking back, now that I'm not exhausted from grinding the top 1,000, getting like top 300, which I low-key should just went for top 100, closest I'm ever gonna be probably to getting top 100 in my life, especially pre-win streaks. So this season, I basically got top 100. I mean, I got top 100 day one. Obviously doesn't mean anything. I just got really lucky. I say I got really lucky. Well, obviously I did, you know, it's a card game, but I was able to farm into Master's Ball day one of ranked, you know, like at reset with both Pheromosa, Decidueye, and just Buzzwole, because Buzzwole is just broken. And then obviously I think Decidueye Pheromosa was really good in the Buzzwole. It was kind of farming everybody playing new decks low-key. And I think that was hella fun. Looking back, I think this meta was extremely great. After like day 5, I switched exclusively 95% of the time to playing Naganadel Guzzlord, which beat every single deck in the meta besides Buzzwole. I think this is B tier, man. I actually, looking back, I think this is B tier. This was a fun pocket. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, Buzzwole mirrors were torture. I just miss playing Naganadel Guzzlord, bro. And I feel like the fact that I was able to play that 95% of the time, I don't know, for me, like, seasons get hard carried by the deck that I have a personal bias towards, and I really love that deck. And I miss it, bro. The only reason I put this in like second worst, like I said, bro, I was fatigued. I was just, you know, annoyed from ranked 100%. Because I'm not gonna lie, bro, I'm not a good ranked player. I get mentally and physically exhausted really fast by, you know, grinding ranked. That is a problem I definitely have. That's why I'm better in tournaments, because they last 1 or 2 days and it's over. And I can just kind of like chill out, you know, after Swiss and all that stuff. You know, I just have to commit like 4 or 5 hours. And I know what I'm doing. Where like ranked, you know, there's just so much RNG and so much like playing you have to do over the whole season, where I definitely get exhausted. And I was definitely burnt out of Eevee Crisis by, you know, the end of the season, going for that top 1k grind, which, you know, obviously I said I achieved. I think it's a good season, man. There's a lot of diversity. Obviously, it was a lot of diversity with the Savali different variants, bro. We had Rampardos, we had the Zero Aura Oricoreos, we had the Charizard versions. At the end of the day, man, it wasn't that bad, bro. I actually think it was really good, and it was probably the second best mini set behind Mythical Island, personally, in my personal opinion. And it's definitely something I grew into loving way more, just looking back on it. And you can't even say that's nostalgic, because I'm looking back at these, but like, yeah, I said Shining Light's not as bad as I remember, but I still hate Shining River, bro, like, kind of. And like Eevee's Grove, bro, we can just go straight into that. I think this is absolutely garbage pocket, because it was just Sylveon, Crit Ninja Slot, bro. Sylveon, Professor Research, red card, boom, you can't play the game. And it was Sylveon, Rare Candy, Charizard, boom, you can't play the game. Only saving grace for this season was the fact that Leafeon Flareon was an actual deck, aka OG Eevee box, one of the most fun decks I've ever played in the game. However, this is the only time I ever quit pocket, bro. I think I just didn't play the last week. Like I was like, I think I was unranked for the first time ever. I just had no desire to play the game. I would like hop on like the game, play like 3 games of ranked, you'd face like 2 Zards, and they would just get it I turn to, and I'm like, nah, I'm not playing this game. Like, this game was unfun. I had some of the most worst tournament results ever in my life. I just, dude, like, I thankfully redeemed myself, bro, at the Lucian host a tournament for like streamers and stuff. I was able to get 5th place in that, which was really cool because I kind of like redeemed the season going into Wisdom, where I had like a really good season. But I think Eevee's Grove, man, the meta was diabolical. There's nothing fun about the game at all. I will legit stand by that fact. I do not care. Eevee's Grove is the worst set in my personal opinion of all time, because it was just unfun. It didn't feel like I was playing the game. It felt like I was just playing solitaire. That's just all it felt like. Which moving on to Wisdom. Peak Pocket, bro. Peak Pocket. This is one of the most diverse metas we've ever had. Every single thing that was wrong with Eevee's Grove absolutely changed just with the addition of Espeon. Espeon held back Sylveon Greninja. There's so many decks where like Zard wasn't one of the most represented decks either. We had Dark Tina obviously has the best deck. We had Espeon. We had Solgaleo. Not Solgaleo. I mean, some people would still play it, but it wasn't really represented. Buzzwole, Guzz. We had a couple Silvally decks as well. It was just extremely fun, man. Like we had either Darkrai Ho-Oh at some point. We had the Pichu Silvally decks, like Darkrai, Silvally. It was just one of the most diverse metas. It was peak pocket. There's just so many decks you could play. Some people might have a problem with diversity because, you know, if, for example, playing Espeon, if I might run into a bunch of Dartinas and Guzzlords, and then to counter that deck, I play Buzzwole, but maybe I switch to Buzzwole and I start facing the Espeon, so that's like Eevee box decks, you know, because we also had like Flareon. The OG Eevee box did definitely fall off because of Espeon, but they switched into the Magby Flareon version. It was just diverse, man. It was just diverse. It was peak pocket. You know, obviously I had like really good tournament results, which also carried it. I got top 1000, which is something I didn't do since ED Crisis, just because, you know, it's like I said, Eevee's Grove was terrible, and Espeon was just so fun, which is a deck I basically played 80% of the time in ranked. And for me, like I said, seasons are hard carried by decks. I absolutely love the way Espeon played, because I like those healing / tank decks that Pocket usually has. You know, we could look back at stuff like Venusaur. Guzzlord obviously doesn't have the healing factor, but he is a tank at 170 HP, which is absolutely crazy. I just love it, man. I really wish we had the deluxe pack after Wisdom. I have 2 months of Wisdom just to see if any meta development happened. The only complaint I can say with Wisdom is the fact that the packs didn't really give us too much for being a full set. I will say, if you look at this, bro, every single full set, bro, is peak. Every single full set is peak when we get 2 packs. So I have high hopes for the megas. However, I will say, yeah, we didn't get a lot, bro. We had like Espeon, we had Crobat, like that mid-tier deck. Same with like Donphan. And we had the introduction of Silver and E-Switch and like the babies. But besides that, like all the other EX Pokemon didn't really have too much meta representation. And I don't know if that's because they were unexplored or actually just bad and we didn't have time. But I still think, bro, I really wish we had a second month of this. I want to see how the meta developed, and I really do miss it. I think this is the best Pocket we've ever had. And if we can just transition right now, bro, to Secluded Springs, which I'm going to put in D right away. Suicune is just tier 0. It's not fun to play. I will say Secluded Springs, you know, it wasn't too bad. Like, I actually had fun entering tournaments this season. I think ranked was the most miserable part, because the Suicune mirror matches, don't get me wrong, sometimes they're extremely fun, you know, when you're on an equal footing for most of the game. And I had a game just yesterday, or like 2 days ago, which was one of the most fun games the Pocket ever had, bro. It was a Suicune mirror match where I was actually playing one Oricorio and they were playing the pure version. And I was able to like outplay where like they couldn't ping my Giratina with Greninja because they only had one, and then ping and then attack my Oricorio at the same time. So I put them in a checkmate where I ended up winning with Osiris. It was just extremely fun. So those type of matches are nice for Secluded Springs, because, you know, Suicune Greninja is a deck that sometimes, you know, it does have a lot of skill expression where you just take some skill plays, you know, because like one wrong ping or like one placing something down can lose you that game. Whether that's giving your opponent plus 20 damage or not doing enough damage on your turn so that you can't play around like something like an Irida. But besides that, it's just Suicune is broken. It's not fun to play against. There's not a single fun deck for me to play. I really don't like, I guess Guzz would be my most favorite deck. I really don't like the 7 Trainer Guzz, even though I do like it still. I prefer the Nagano version. It's not as fun. I'm gonna put it in D, man. That's all I gotta say. And then the Deluxe pack, just get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, I obviously I think Eevee's Grove is still worse. I tried, man. I tried to play. I tried to get top 1000 last season. I think I'm literally like 1050 right now. Probably changed because, you know, it's the next day and I want to sleep up. I can't do it, bro. I can't do these Suicune players that just open Suicune, turn to double Greninja, Giratina start. Like, I can't compete. It's not fun. It's just not fun. It's just not fun, bro. That's Secluded Springs wasn't fun. It was all right. Deluxe pack is just a second month of that. Well, we already experienced with some new decks that are just annoying entering the meta. Main ones are like Tapu Koko or Ikorio with like double red card, double silver. Espeon came back for some people. I tried Espeon myself. The deck does not fucking work, but so many people played Espeon, gained like 1400 points, bro. Shout out to Sylar if you are watching this. You know, one of my teammates on the GGP. Because they literally went from not caring about rank, bro, like in that top 1000, just playing whatever, to being like, I think like number 30. They're like in the 30 to the 40s right now, top 100, just playing like purely Espeon. I don't know how you do it, man. I tried the deck out. I just lose 200 points every time I play it, bro, because I face against Guz or Suicune just has the god hands. Obviously, shout out to you, man, but if I just see one more Suicune, bro, or not Suicune, I'm sick of seeing Suicune. I'm sick of every day for the last 2 weeks hearing something about Espeon being good. Just give me out of the Deluxe pack, bro. Just give me to the Megas. I can't do it anymore, bro. Please save me. I think that's how I'm going to end the video, bro. And let me know if you guys have any different opinions in the comments below. And if you guys want to sub, if you guys want to be updated on the meta of Pokemon Pocket going into the Deluxe pack, as someone who's won tournaments, someone who plays competitively and is always in that top 1000 range, whether I be a little bit below or I'm actually in the top 1000, I still think, you know, 2000 and up is pretty good, bro, because I'm not the best rank grinder. I will admit I don't have the mental / stamina. However, going into the Megas, I'm hoping that will change, and I can hopefully find some zen. Peace out. Have a lovely day as always.